View here. Today we're deck profiling my Madolches. I haven't deck profiled this for a while because I was waiting for Angelies, but I decided to play it at school and stuff, and this is the build I've been using, and it's been working pretty well. I will explain the changes that will change once Angeli comes out and some ideas that I've been thinking about, but we'll just get right into it. Starting off, we have the 3 Magileine. You run 3. I don't care if you're only running like 6 Madolche cards, you run 3 Magileine just because worst comes to worst, she gets herself and keeps your hand presence, so that's why you use her. I play 3 Hootcake as well. My build is graveyard cleanup, so the whole deck is built around keeping my graveyard clean and getting as much advantage as possible by using these. And so that's why the 3 Hootcake is never bad in my build. His attack is amazing as well, because it gets 2,000 under field spell, which is really good. Moving on, I'm running 2 cats. I'm thinking about going back up to 3 with this. I'm kind of debating between it because the 2 cats is good. 3 has never really been bad, especially with some of the tech choices I've been using in here. And it's just whenever I tried to take it down to 1 or something, I'd always need it for the Hootcake to summon off of for just quick rank 3s and stuff. And so I keep going back to 2. 3 would be nice though. I've just been messing around with that. Next we have 3 Messengelato. I went back to 3. I kept it at 3. 3 is nice. Special summoning stuff is really good as well. When you summon this guy, you get your searches, and that's all that's really important. I've normal summoned this guy a lot as well, because 16 is a great number, and Messengelato does nothing when normal summoned, so it's not like he's going to get hit by any trap cards. And worst comes to worst, he just goes back to your deck where you want him, so yeah. Last card, I play the Puddingcess because of some of the traps and stuff I'm using. Because my build is also graveyard cleanup, that's why Puddingcess is good in my opinion. I've always loved her. She's just amazing. She's one of the 2 reasons why I built the deck. And she just pops a card and is just really, really good. So that's why I'm using her. Only non-Madolche cards I'm running is I'm running 2 Effect Veiler. 2 Effect Veiler really, it's really nice. You get to use it to banish stuff. It's a really quick target to banish. And it's just really good. Effect negation like this is good. And I chose to use this over the Fiendish Chains just because I get 2 uses out of this, as opposed to just the stopping the attacks with the other one. Queen also leaves chains dead on the field, so I don't really like using the chains. Spells, we've got 2 Chateau. Chateau's a really good card. It recycles stuff. You use the Queen in this to never run out of Madolche cards, so it does a really good job recycling. Along with the 1 Ticket. I was running 2 for a while, but I finally cut it down to 1 just because the second one kept being dead in my hand. And drawing 1 of this is amazing, but you really only want this when you're searching for it, so I cut it down to 1. Non-Madolche spells, we've got 3 Pot of Duality. You really want to get into your deck. That's all that really matters. Searching for the cards that you need, and you can sit a lot on a lot of these cards. Just throw them on the field and sit there. 3 Mystical Space Typhoon. It gets you to, you always want to have one in your hand so you can go off whenever you feel like it. So this blows up your opponent's cards, and it's really helpful. 1 of spells, I'm running 1 Book of Moon and 1 Dark Hole. They're really good cards because Book of Moon helps you. You want to hold on to this until you absolutely need to use it because it fights stuff like Skill Drain and Veilers and stuff when you really don't want them, so you can continually get your Queen's effect off. Along with the Dark Hole to blow up things. Sticking your own cards in the graveyard isn't bad because the way I play this is the graveyard cleanup, so having the Dark Hole is really good. Personal Tech 1, I'm using Double Summon. I love it. It's so good. It will not be leaving once Angeli comes out because it's even better then. It's really good. This card, you go off, and this allows you to go for the field spell instead of Ticket, because after you go off, you just add the Messengelato and the cat back to your hand, double summon, summon Messenger, or summon cat, summon Messenger, get your Ticket, and then you can OTK right there. And then the last 2, Gold Sarc and 1 Day of Peace. These cards will be replaced by Angeli's. The Gold Sarc might stay though. And what you can do with these is 1 day just as a way to stall since you'll be sitting on cards and you don't have the Angeli to make going faster possible. But Gold Sarc's really nice because it lets you banish cards such as your Messengelato and pull them out with the Leviair, which is something that it's really helpful. It also gets you to your Magileine, so you can just drop this, banish Magileine, and get it in a couple turns. And so I've really been liking it for a while. Traps, running 1 Palooza. Palooza, this is your win condition. You activate the Palooza, and you can summon everything from your hand, and it's really good. 2 Nights. Nights negates effects and such, and I personally loved it because, like I said, I keep my graveyard clean. this card people overlook a lot of times. So when you flip this up, you negate their effect, it goes to the graveyard, and then your queen bounces it back and nobody notices that it was there. I've actually gotten queens successfully summoned when my opponent could have stopped it because they thought that I didn't have Madolche cards in the graveyard, but there was a Nights, and so I ended up winning duels because of that. Just overlooking cards like this is just really good. Plus, I do end up with a Puddingcess on the field a lot, and so this card is really good for that aspect. Non-Madolche traps. Currently running 2 Mirror Force. Mirror Force is really, really nice. When they attack, you can flip this up and all their monsters will die, and it doesn't really matter that much. It just buys you turns when you're sitting on cards, so yeah. Next, I have 2 Threatening Roars. Surprisingly, I've had this 2 in my deck for a while, and I haven't drawn it once. So I've actually been considering changing this. Now I've actually considered changing it to Guardian Iados, which sounds really bad, especially with how much I used to hate it. But you keep your graveyard clean with the way that I've been building this deck and the way I've been playing it. So Iados might actually be good, especially since just throw a monster on the field with high attack. And it would do a similar thing to this as buying me a turn since it has such high attack. And worst comes to worst, it'd be a Hootcake target. I haven't decided, and I was going to test with it again, even though I wasn't the biggest fan in the past. But once again, my build changed, so I might as well test different cards. Then one-ofs. We have 1 Bottomless, 1 Compulse, and 1 Torrential as normal traps, just because stopping cards are just really, really effective when you're summoning things. Torrential's not bad because you don't care if you lose your monsters to the grave. It's always good. Compulse, it actually works for yourself as well, letting you put back cards that you need, like a queen back, or put back Madolche monsters to get searches, and Bottomless is just Bottomless. Counter trap of Warning. Warning, it stops things. You throw this on the field and you wait for a couple turns until you absolutely need to use this. 2,000 life points is really nothing, especially with Hobending, so. Last card is 1 trap stun. You only need 1. I tried running 2 and it always ended up being dead, and when you run 1, you always have 1 when you need it, so. Yeah, changes that I'll be making when Angeli comes out. The Gold Sarc one day and 1 Messengelato will probably become Angels, but I'm still working on the exact build. We'll go to Extra. Running 2 Queen. You only need 2 Queens. I tried it with 3, and the 3rd one was nice, and I ended up using it a lot, but when you have 2, you just rebounce the first one back, and you just constantly cycle between the 2 of them. I have the 1 King. He's going to be a shark. I haven't bought one yet. I just haven't really felt the need to. But the more I play, the more I realize I kind of need a shark. So this Fairy King will become a shark then. But the only time I've ever used him was I used him against a lead yoke when I had these 2 out, and I had already used my Queen's effect, I think it was. And so I Fairy Kinged, and he attacked over it first time. She attacked over it the second time. And then on my opponent's turn, they attacked my monster, and I had a Mirror Force. Moving on. 1 Abyss Dweller. It's a good card. You make this a lot. It's really good. Direwolf. Direwolf's a good card as well. You always end up with extra cards on the field so you can destroy them. This card's bad. He's being replaced by a lot of things. He's probably going to become Ragnarok. Or, not Ragnarok. The new Ragna card that's coming out. I really like that card. It also could be that new XYZ that I was talking about in the other video. I'll put a link to what I'm talking about. We got Blackship and Cowboy. I'd never take these 2 out. Blackship's amazing. It's just Blackship fights. Nobody uses Blackship, so Zenmaines becomes good. And so if people start using Zenmaines again, Blackship's good. It also gets around cards like Bear and stuff that you just really don't want to have to just kill like easily. And also Cowboy does 800 damage, so wins you games. We have 1 Invoker and 2 Leviair. I was thinking about going back up to a 2nd Invoker, and if I'm actually this close to using it, if I do keep the 3rd Messengelato in the Angeli build, I will definitely start running the 2nd Invoker, just because you go into it all the time. And I've had so many duels where it's like I look in my deck or extra deck, and there's no Invoker there, so I can't continue my plays the way I need it. So running that 2nd Invoker could be happening. I'm running 1 Alucard and 1 Zenmaines. They're actually really good. These are the 2 I go into most often when I don't go into my combos. It's just you sit on Zenmaines forever, and Alucard fights through your opponent's back rows and stuff. He fights your opponent's armors, and he fights your opponent's Bottomless, because when you summon this, most of the time he gets Bottomless, in which that saved your queen from getting Bottomless. So I've been running him ever since like the day he came out. The last 2 are Leviathan and Utopia. The Leviathan's only in there because he's free detach. He becomes like, there's so many cards I'd replace him with right now. It's just, I just feel like he's good. You don't use Extinction. Extinction's bad in this deck because you always keep some sort of advantage over your opponent, and Utopia is just a beater. I find myself going into him way more often than I would go into anything such as the King, just because Utopia is strong and he sits there for turns, but, you know. We'll go into side really quick. 2DD Crow. I use a lot of the quote-unquote hand trap monsters just because this is good. This fights Dark Worlds, which is a bad matchup. It also fights just like Boojins and stuff, and that's a good... 2 Flying Sea. Personally, I love it. It fights your opponent's Constellar and a mirror match and stuff. Evil Swarms as well. 2 Maxx. Maxx is really good. It just stops your opponent from doing great certain decks when they're trying to go off with like Karkari Girgia, and the 2 Swift Scarecrow to go with the Maxx, just so that you have something to draw into. Those are the monsters. We've got 1 Chateau for Gravekeepers. Since they haven't changed the rules yet, I have to have the extra Chateau to keep it off the field. 2 Twister, once again, Gravekeepers and decks that can use traps that are really problematic, I use the Twisters for. And then we have 2 Light Mirrors, because Boojin and Constellars are not fun to fight. 1 Shadow, once again, because I don't like Evil Swarms. I hate fighting decks like Ghostricks and stuff as well. And Dark Worlds just really hurt me. And the last card, we do have the second trap stun if I'm facing a deck that's really, really trap heavy, and I just need to be able to get my queens off. So, yeah, that's the deck. Tell me below what you think of it, what cards you'd change. Personally, I love this deck. It's my favorite deck. As soon as Wind-Ups got hit by ban list, I switched into this way back in Return of the Duelist, so it's just a fun deck to play. Tell me what you think, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah.